one of the interesting questions, not only in terms of the history of Auckland, but in most of the major cities, is what happened. Labour had, enormously sophisticated on-the-ground organisation in all the major metropolitan centres by the 30s, and indeed Labour had captured control of the four main centres by the early 30s: Dunedin, Christchurch, Wellington, and Auckland. So what happened? I think the answer lies in the fact that after 1935, the provision of welfare and health services and such like were very much centralised in the central government. Before that, hospital boards and such like local organisations had been responsible for the distribution of charity, food for the unemployed and their families. So getting control at the local level was a major political objective of the left. Once the welfare state was established and people went to the Department of Social Welfare for assistance, or went to the public hospitals, went to their GPs with their subsidies, and all of that sort of thing happened, I think a lot of the pressure went out of the local government scene. All of Labour's attention was then focused on the national political scene rather than the local scene, and into that vacuum poured the citizens and ratepayers who quite rightly realised that all politics is local in the end, and it was their control of local government, particularly in Auckland, which once they had allies in Wellington, essentially prevented the plans that the Labour government in the late 40s had made for Auckland from coming to fruition. And it's important, I think, to note that it was the combination of the two that prevented the planned Auckland from taking place, because the National Party realised that Auckland in particular was growing at a phenomenal rate. It would in the future be a pivotal electorate for parties to control, the Auckland electorate. And if the Pliska, the modernist social democratic Auckland that Labour had sought to build had come into being, it would have created a social democratic electorate in Auckland, which would in essence have dominated New Zealand politics after that time. Had that Auckland come to pass, it's very difficult to see how National could ever have won, because you would have had the largest city being very much a sort of Sweden or perhaps Stockholm of the South Pacific. Instead, and with encouragement not only from Auckland business developers particularly, but also from the national government in Wellington, we became the Los Angeles of the South Pacific.